That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Just kidding,
Boba
it's me,
Fett.
Jacob
Boba
Gulliver.
Fett. Where? All right. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves on the cusp of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even courting a war in the process, we thought be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust. On Disney Plus, and tonight we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett season finale, guest starring Boba Fett. Yeah. All right. This episode was fun, I guess. I don't know.
Those are pretty fun.
This show is. I'll tell you this much, Dragon. You know, we do our season and wrap up podcasts, and never before have I been more excited to actually get to that, because before I've always kind of just been like, all right, you know, I'll give kind of like a final thought sort of thing, but no, Book of Boba Fett is a fascinating deconstruction of like just. I mean, I would wager to say not one episode of this show is like bad in any majorly inherent way. But man, the storytelling of this show on an episode to episode level is just, I don't even want to say it's bad. It's just baffling. It's just totally baffling. I don't know, guys. Like, I still think episode 2 is by far the best of the season. But that's, you know, I'm not really sure if that's a popular opinion or not. We've got Aid March in the comments. Good to see you, man. I feel like it's been a minute. Happy to have you. Gulliver, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. You know what, Gulliver? Before we get into the Boba Fett of it all, I'm going to give it... Well, actually, hold on. Dragon, I'm going to not leave you hanging like I always do. What do you think of the Book of Boba Fett finale?
Well, funny you should ask. So, yeah, I liked, as far as the finale goes, I liked it. But it wasn't the slam dunk that I hoped for. That I think there was like kind of like a Death Star trench run's chance of there being. You know, like there's a real shot at it. Like, you know, like I think the last episode towards the end we kind of put the pieces in the place that, you know what, it's been a little bit of a different ride than I think we thought we were when we got into the Boba Fett show. And I feel like we kind of teed things back up at the very end of the last episode. Okay, I think we're going to refocus here, and I think we might be able to bring it all home. And it was fun. Let me put it this way: I have a few minor yet kind of, I feel, pivotal missed opportunities. I think like if these tweaks were made, I think it really would have gone a long way into help. I think kind of giving everyone kind of a better, like leaving less of a bad taste in the mouth that a lot of people have been kind of saying with this episode, because I've been hearing a lot of negative towards this. I don't really agree with that, but I've just been hearing a lot of negative. But
I honestly think it's like perfectly adequate.
It's somewhat
with one amazing Grogu moment that should have been in The Mandalorian.
That's the thing. There are great elements in this.
Like all the Grogu stuff is great, but it really it's got like, I don't even think that Grogu and Boba Fett really share an exchange in this whole thing.
For sure.
So ultimately, it's basically, again, I got those missed opportunities, and I think because of that, we coupled with the fact that we kind of extend kind of an action set piece, I think we lose some substance.
Dragon, you know what I was thinking during that action set piece, right?
Fight.
And they fight. They're fighting. All right.
But you see my point.
Fight. Okay. Right, King Kong thing. Cool. All right. Fight. But yeah.
All right, but you see my point. I feel like in doing that, we kind of lose some substance. But ultimately, though, what we do have, it's fun and it's thrilling,
and it's Cad freaking Bane.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of good, and I'm satisfied with the good. But I think it, in terms of like putting a big kind of finish on things, storytelling wise, I feel went for a little bit more kind of spectacle. This is what I want from Star Wars versus this is what I want from a Boba Fett story.
Totally.
That's kind of where I'm at on the finale, at least at the moment, like kind of the week of kind of coming out of it. So Gulliver.
Wait, hold on. I'm just going to really quickly shout out Super Billy and Atomic Beast.
Hey!
Super Billy just says, "What up?" And Atongbi says, I think what's fascinating is Grogu's choice. I think he knows that attachments is not black and white. It's a double-edged sword.
He's also a 50-year-old baby, so maybe he's more the shinier object.
Indeed.
Yeah. And I mean, like you can have an attachment to the Jedi Order. Just a thought. But anyway, no, yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I haven't been down for the other episodes of this, but overall, I've been enjoying it so far. And yeah, it does absolutely have its hiccups and like weird choices. I definitely agree that like a bunch of this show should have been in The Mandalorian season 3, rather than in the Boba Fett show, because it does. I mean, like, because you can't go from Mandalorian season 2 to season 3 without watching this at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
Unfortunately,
so, like,
no. That's kind of the
structuring of that is just weird. But you know, anyway, that's neither here nor there. I did enjoy the end, and I think like one of the things that I very much enjoyed about The Mandalorian and about the Book of Boba Fett is that every episode is kind of like, you know, a new version of, you know, Samurai 7 or Magnificent 7, if you prefer, where it's just like, you know, impossible odds. How are they going to get their way through it? Or like, we have to defend this one spot, or we have to get through this like weird situation where we're way outnumbered. You know, and then we kind of get to see this cool, like, storytelling their way through a fight. And some episodes like really, really do that well. I think the Train Heist is that second episode. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, episode 2, man. I love episode 2.
That's a great example of it. And you know, I think the
episode
finale
2
does
is like
that
the best
pretty well
Dances
too,
with Wolves
like,
style story we've ever seen. Like, you know, like apart from like, you know, like because we all have like Ferngully is like Dances with Wolves in Magic Fairyland, and Avatar is Dances with Wolves in space. This is Dances with Wolves in Star Wars, and it's awesome. Anyways,
right. And I think the first few episodes have a lot going for it in the sense of like visual storytelling, the same way that The Mandalorian was, where there's not a lot of dialogue because the Tusken Raiders don't say that much, and Boba is trying to be like stoic and you know, a tough cookie, and he's still wounded, so like there's not a lot of like dialogue happening explaining what's you know going on or what's being exchanged, but like everything is done visually. They're kind of explaining, you know, what's happening just by showing reactions on faces, and you know, in showing us the actions the characters are taking, the way the environment is affecting them. And I think that has a very, very different sort of tone to it than the like last 3 episodes of this, where like almost everything is handed to us in you know, dialogue format rather than the visual storytelling. And that's like the biggest
totally
that's a huge change in terms of like the structural style. But that's, you know, that's true of some of the, you know, later episodes of The Mandalorian as well, where we're getting a lot of stuff through dialogue rather than visual storytelling. I think the stuff with more visual storytelling feels more, you know, it feels like they're doing a better job of storytelling in those moments, because you can really focus on some of those little moments, those little reactions, rather than, you know, trying to mentally manage like whereabouts of all the, you know, various different 15 characters that are established, you know, as like potential allies and villains.
Okay, I'm sorry, Gulliver. I just want to make a note that this show, I feel like all the ensemble characters, like some of them, like Black Chrysanthemum, are awesome in their own right, but literally all of them, like, have next to no time to even get developed. Even fucking Boba Fett himself, to a certain extent, as the internet has joked about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did all the development for Boba Fett in the like first 4 episodes, and then they did 0 development for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
It's just like, so it's, I think, you know, there's something to be said for like the work that's done to develop Boba Fett at the beginning of the show, and that the storytelling there. They just didn't continue that trend as they moved into the end of the show, and they focused more on like the combat and like, you know, all the little moving chess pieces on the board in, you know, Mos Espa, trying to get that put together. But I guess that's my opinion. I did enjoy the final fight scene. You know, it took up a huge portion of the episode, and that's fine because there was fighting with objectives. I think the worst thing you can have, and I'm going to point at the DC universe, DC Universe live action films for this one is the worst thing you can have is a fight scene with 0 objectives, where it's just who can punch the other guy the hardest, who can blast the other guy the hardest and make them fall down. But every fight scene in this show has a fight with objectives. They're trying to protect a location. They're trying to protect a person. They're trying to, well, if we can move from this location to this location, we get this advantage. If we can get our hands on this piece of equipment, we can do this. If we can move this person to this location, then this changes the fight somehow. So I think that's really valuable in terms of like keeping it entertaining. And I think they're doing a good job of that. However, we're not getting a whole lot of like character development while it's happening.
Yeah.
So there's pluses and minuses.
I don't disagree with you about it being a well-staged action. It is. And I never thought we'd see the day where we'd have a Rancor pulling an homage to freaking King Kong, but it happened and I loved it. It was glorious. From just a pure visual point of view. But I don't know. Super Billy is kind of throwing out some. I know Super Billy's been very hard on this show, and I don't blame him honestly, because I feel like the show was all over the place. But Gulliver, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, I was done with my essential point there. So
okay,
I was curious what you guys had to say about it and what your thoughts were as well.
Super Billy says the show was a messy hodgepodge of ill-conceived, poorly executed, and badly developed characters and ideas, culminating one of the dullest, most awkward, hollow, and excessive finales I've seen. And I don't know, Super Billy, I do kind of agree with you on some of those points. I really do. I think that I do think the characters were honestly kind of a joke. Like, even the cool ones just barely had anything to do, like across the board. I don't know. Like, even fucking Fennec Shan disappears for like half the episode, Well,
she was going to assassinate the Pikes.
I realize this.
Yeah. Should we you just want to jump around to certain points here? Because I could
I don't know where to go in this conversation. There's a lot of moving parts here. So yeah.
Let me talk about my 2 missed opportunities with this finale.
Okay.
Things that I wish, if they were tweaked slightly, I think I'm not sure it would have saved it, given the whole, we kind of were. It's so amazing how much a difference 2 episodes can make, especially when it's only like a 7-episode show. And apparently the reason for that is they were given like a run time, and that's why it's not just 6 episodes. Like, they had kind of extra time. I think if you look at it, there's like an episode that's shorter than the rest. Apparently that's how that works. So it's just kind of weird that, anyway, I'm sorry. My point in all this is I feel, first and foremost, why not have Cad Bane be the trigger man on the Tusken Raiders? I think that would. I love the showdown. I think that would have been like the thing to really.
I absolutely think that they really that was a big flaw on their part. Because Dragon, here's what it was. They tried to do like a big M. Night Shyamalan, like, oh, what a twist. It was Cad Bane the whole time. Yeah. But they actually shot themselves in the foot there, because if we would have known it was Cad Bane the whole time and not had it been a big, traditional trademark Disney villain twist, I think it would have been like, Cad Bane absolutely should have been introduced, I would say, in episode 3. Would you guys agree?
I don't necessarily agree with that, Tiki, because I like the idea that we bring in, like, towards, again, maybe not towards the very last second we could have, but maybe at least getting towards the end, we bring in our Boba Fett equivalent that could actually, measure up or at least represent the older kind of past of that character after we establish what we needed to establish with the Tusken Raiders and where he is going forward. So I don't mind where we introduce Cad Bane. It just seems like very obvious money on the table that, okay, element from Boba Fett's past that impeded on his future by killing off his new family. And this guy's a bit, essentially, it represents his old family because he knew his father and he taught him everything he knows. And we referenced that a little bit, but it just feels like that's the big connecting link.
And once again, folks, I want to just interject that I have not seen any Clone Wars stuff. So, anything that I'm supposed to take away from Cad Bane, I'm sorry, but at this point, I feel like at the very least with the live action stuff, it's like, I don't think you need to do homework. I think it's bad storytelling to a certain point. Because, I hear time and time again other people being like, oh, well, Cad Bane is this and this. And I'm like, I'm sure he's awesome in Clone Wars, but I haven't had time to go back and watch, however many episodes of Clone Wars there are. So I don't know what to tell you.
You're not wrong, and I will say this. I think ultimately the Cad Bane thing, and I think we represent just like very, very surface level that, okay, he knows this guy and he mentions his father, but I think if we had like a little bit more, it would have gone a long way.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Visually, he's awesome. Like in Corey Burton's vocal performance, like I'm loving his presence.
That's what I'm saying. On the surface level, the appeal of the character was captured.
I'm just saying, like, I think the reason why the writers thought they could get away with having him basically show up at the very end is because there's all this built-in history. But like you said, it's like they barely skimmed the surface of and what I know about the Cad Bane and Boba Fett stuff sounds really intriguing. And it honestly sounds like the type of stuff where we should have gotten maybe a flashback episode or something between the two of them.
Now, by that logic, that's where I would really go with if we had 2 episodes. Let me put it this way, not 2 episodes. I know he showed up at the very end of 1 episode. If we got a flashback narrative with Cad Bane, that would have paid off there. We got the flashback and then we got the showdown. If we did something like that, might have gone a long way. And it just feels like we don't need to know necessarily, okay, he's the guy who put that dent in the helmet. You don't need all those intimate details, but it's the fact that it's a little a little bit more of hey, you and I we have history together versus just an allusion to I love everything about that showdown, but you're right, Tig. You do need to be a little in the notes to know how important that Cad Bane showdown is, and they could have at least kind of.
Now, Abe March does make an interesting point. He says, "I think the issue is people want live-action Star Wars to stand on its own, for better or for worse. It won't. Animation, books, and comics will develop characters and insert them into live action." And I want to say I do not have a problem with that at all. I think we've actually seen quite a few pretty successful examples of that through Mando. Ahsoka. I obviously I know about Ahsoka through pop culture osmosis, but just based on the performance by Rosario Dawson and the writing, I can pretty much get all I need to know about her.
Here's the difference. I'll tell you what the difference is.
Bo-Katan is also a big one, where it's I got into Bo-Katan right away, even though there's a deep lore behind her.
Well, the difference between both of those and Cad Bane is this, all right? As we see here, this is the end of the Cad Bane story, okay? I mean, now I know that as we see in the post-credits of this episode, people getting shot, not necessarily the end. Let's just given the stabbing.
By the way, how funny was it that I called freaking Cobb Vanth being in the Bantha tank?
Oh, really? Back to tank? Yeah,
you called the back to tank? I forgot about
that. I said it as a joke, Dragon. I said it as a joke. I was like, what if we meet up with Cobb Vanth and Boba lends him the Bantha tank and we just get into I'm sorry, and then we just get into excessive a 3-episode flashback arc of Cobb Vanth via the tank.
Yeah, next season of Mandalorian is going to start with Cobb Vanth in the back.
Yeah, it's literally,
and it's going to be mirrored to the Boba Fett part at the beginning of the series where he's in the tank and having the nightmares and stuff from his past.
But I made it's going to be another series. It's not about we were going to see that, and then the very cliffhanger of this season is exactly that to a certain extent.
See, if you were on for that episode, that reference would have carried a lot more water, Tiki. No pun intended.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, but regardless, so that's what I'm saying though. So the Cad Bane story, in essence, that's the ending to it. Which it's again, you have a lot to really. There's a lot more pressure on you. You want a refresher on that character before we bring about his ending. Where Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, that's a reintroduction. Where okay, you can kind of say what you need to say in context to this show. So we don't need everything. Everything we get is just okay. This is where this character is now, and basically what relates to our story. Cad Bane, not so much, which is why it's a little more tricky, I guess. Now, the other missed opportunity I felt, the other one. This is the whole reason I brought up the missed opportunities. This one we actually should talk about. I think Boba Fett really should have killed the 3 families and not Fennec Shand.
Yeah. And what's worse is that, I definitely agree with you. I love it. The thing about that is that we've seen Fennec Shand, time and time again, be the badass in the show.
We know how good she is. We don't need a reminder. We got it.
But I think we definitely do need a reminder of the sneaky bastard that Boba Fett can be.
I just feel it would have been, correct me if I'm wrong, wouldn't it have been so satisfying? And the thing I really liked, especially on the rewatch with this finale, was, hey, Boba Fett tried things his way. Honestly, I think upon reflection, I have to go back to them all again. I think episode 4 ultimately might be my, not counting the Mando, because that's kind of, again, it's that territory. Well, it's more Mando than it's Boba Fett, but not counting the Mando episodes. Episode 4 is probably my favorite, because that's Boba, accomplishing what he's setting out to do when he's kind of going the full Godfather, the whole the working.
I swear to God, you're the only person on the internet who has that episode as their favorite.
I don't know. I really like 4 because of that. I don't know. I mean, look, again,
the first
2's
half
hard.
of it dragged for me, but the second half was really enjoyable.
That's what I'm saying. Regardless, again, might be. I got to go back to him. See, I'm sure 2's going to hold up really well. But the point being, again, just Boba Fett, kind of being, kind of having his noble his noble post Sarlacc kind of reckoning, kind of the Tusken influence, and how he's kind of turned that into kind of leadership as a daimyo. Everything he makes a peace treaty with these guys, and they break it, and the payoff should be you messed with the Fett, man. You messed with the Fett, suffer the consequences. Boba Fett's going to go back to what his namesake is, what he's kind of known for across the galaxy, by killing all these fools in horrific, awesome ways.
Okay, I will say the mayor's death was pretty damn brutal.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I love. That's the thing. If it were Boba Fett, it would have been like full on like another Godfather moment, which is what people really wanted from him.
Also, you know what? I will admit, a character that kind of grew on me throughout the season to the point where I was kind of like legitimately like invested in him by the finale was the mayor's assistant.
Yep, the major domo.
Yeah. I by the first couple times he showed up, I was like, okay, this guy is I don't like this. I don't know, he kind of grew on me because like by the end it's like, okay, this guy is both like super duper cowardly, but also like somehow weirdly useful.
Mm-hmm.
And if his relationship with Amy Sedaris is going anywhere, like I'd be all for that.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not a Jawa, but he's the next best thing.
right.
Yes, but yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Just that ultimately, just kind of feels like, again, it just feels like that would have been the natural payoff. A lot of people were kind of expecting Boba Fett to go back to his old ways. And I'm saying that would have been the perfect way to do that, because they broke the treaty, man. Like, he gave him a chance, and that's the thing we're not talking about.
I honestly think what's worse is, like, to me, one of the most embarrassing moments of the whole series, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree with this, but it's the scene right after the big battle where Boba and Fennec are like walking through the streets of Tatooine, and Boba's just got this like shit-eating grin on his face, and he's greeting the people. It's like, oh well, maybe we're not cut out for this. And I'm like, really? Like after all that, that's the conclusion you come to.
You know what I do
Boba?
like about I like about that scene though? I mean, you're not wrong about the criticism there with that line, but just in general, it's like the whole like.
I was just sitting there like, well, what the fuck is like? This show was literally just. It was just to get Boba back. It was just to get Grogu back with Mando, and that's it.
There's a prediction.
You could have done that in 2 episodes of Mando season 3.
Okay, first off, there's a prediction I want to share with you that I think that might really intrigue you with just how that turned out. But before that, I really like the kind of the walk through town, because it's kind of like Vito Corleone and Godfather Part 2.
Part 2.
Okay, when he's walking through the city, and he's like, hey, it's like Corleone, like they're paying tribute to the guy who secretly owns the block. It's kind of like that thing. But
no, I get it, but the thing that bothers me,
you're not wrong. I know, I get it.
Do much,
Yeah, but it's funny. People have like the deep cut Star Wars fans have theorized they're going with this whole I don't know if we're cut out for this angle. I don't know if this is just like dissatisfaction is motivating this or not, but it's an interesting theory. The theory is the end game of Mando season 3, or whenever, again, assumingly, again, we're always operating on the assumption Mando's going to end at season 3, just for the heck of it. However, whatever the payoff to the
we're also operating under the assumption that Baby Yoda wouldn't be back in Mando season 3. So
I know, that's what I'm saying. Nobody knows. You're right. I get it, but I'm just saying. Whatever the end game is, however seasons shows might go on for, let's just say, I'm hearing the end game might be what if Tatooine, because unfortunately we didn't get any really, as like super definitive answers outside of, I want, being a bounty hunter, I want to kind of like, have a bounty hunting empire that's going to actually respect the guys and only give them jobs that are actually worth doing and such, and having control over the crime for those reasons. Outside of that, again, pretty much all our episode 4 stuff. That's the closest we get to an answer as to why Tatooine matters to Boba Fett. But maybe the fact we didn't like pay that off is that Boba Fett might be the guy to rule Mandalore, and he might end up with the Darksaber and in charge of Mandalore.
Yeah,
that's the theory I'm hearing. That sounds kind of
yeah.
interesting, and he might ride the mythosaur, much like he rode the dinosaur-looking thing in the holiday special. Because remember, the prophecy is whoever rides the mythosaur.
I've ridden bigger.
Yeah,
exactly. So and think about it. I'm not claiming any credit for this. I've heard this right. I think it was JC from the Scum and Villainy Cantina, and from the Fat Man Beyond podcast who brought this up. I believe it was him, or I don't know if he heard it secondhand or what. But Boba Fett's whole thing that we established in Mando season 2 is, hey, he's looked down by the kind of the royal Mandalorians with your Bo-Katans and everything. Just saying, well, you're not an actual Mandalorian. I can imagine how Death Watch feels about him if we're excommunicating Mando over like a one-time mask removal. So yeah, it just seems like that'd be a payoff for that character who's kind of looking for a new direction. And if we saw Tatooine, if you look ultimately at this finale, it's like, yeah, Tatooine got pretty destroyed. He might not be that good at this, and all right. Didn't turn out too well. I mean, if that's the payoff for this character, I mean, that's interesting. It makes kind of this season a little bit moot, mind you. But if we did that, that might not be a bad place to put him. Again, I'm speculating here based on the speculation of others, but I don't know. It sounds interesting. What do you guys think of that? Would you want to see it go that way? Yay, nay?
Sure.
No?
I'm open to anything at this point. I think, this season, like, you guys are familiar with Kyle Decker, one of my, longtime business partners, and his his interpretation of it is the following, just to share with other people, which I very much agree with, which is that it feels very much like a televised adaptation of a really fun Star Wars tabletop RPG game.
I can totally see that.
Feel free to
the finale. I definitely see that. Yeah.
Feel free to throw out a theatrical gasp when I tell you this, but I am a huge nerd. But, I have played the Star Wars tabletop RPG in many different incarnations, including on multiple occasions with Kyle, as it turns out. And that is absolutely like the right feel. Like, there's a few things that like don't make sense. There's a few things that are like, well, this is weirdly story told here, but it's like they did hand us all the stuff that we needed to get to the end of it. And there were some really fun, interesting encounters. There were some fun social challenges. There were some fun, like, physical challenges, and that's fine. I'm not expecting, this to be like, an Emmy award-winning show by any means, but it was fun Star Wars.
I think episode 2 had the potential, if it would have gone as artful the whole way through with episode 2, I think it had the potential to be Emmy-worthy.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm still stuck on that. Like, the ending of episode 2 in particular, like the, oh man, like he's made the full transformation, man. He's truly one of them now. I don't know. Anyways. But yeah, the tabletop RPG thing definitely, I could definitely see that, especially how we have, like literally like at I would say towards the start of the second act of the episode, we pretty much have laid out like, all right, these people are here and these people are there and these people are here. And
I don't mind. I do like a good battle plan like that, where we set up their 3 families. Yeah. Those are the 3 places in town. We'd set this up earlier, and we placed people there. And the main reason I like the way we set that up is we do the big Godfather. I know, again, it's supposed to be kind of like a crime. It's kind of a crime drama sort of thing. So I do like the big, we have like the big turn where, okay, the people are just kind of walking through the town that we're protecting. Those races have just kind of turned on us, like in that moment. It's like kind of like they're shooting the guy with the glasses during the big, the 5 families Godfather climax to a degree. It's like that's our big, it's our big turn. Like that's a great moment. I got to admit, like that's like, okay, we're very much screwed here. Okay, that's not
right.
Yeah. So the Scorpion droids, guys.
Fun.
I got to be honest with you. I thought they were a little OP.
So I'm so glad you said that, Tiki, because I am tell me if you guys have noticed this trend, and I kind of wish, a part of me wishes I don't mind this trend at all, but I wish we kind of kept to it a little bit more in this finale. I keep flip-flopping on this because the trend so far with our Star Wars, our live-action Star Wars series has been this. Our finale is we take a droid and or an iconic element, from the films or from one of the films in the trilogy, some deep Star Wars lore, and we kind of scale it down to one, like a one, kind of big bad. We had the TIE Fighter in Mando season 1. We had the Dark Trooper in Dark
Right.
Troopers
Yeah, I could see
Mando
it. Yeah.
season 2, and now we have an episode 1 battle droid essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And now a part of me feels like I kind of would have been satisfied if it were just one of these guys. And let me this way, I kind of wish it was either.
I feel like the design of the droids is cool.
Yeah.
I just think this is where a lot of the whole, like, all right, fight, padding out the runtime.
I mean, here's where it becomes padded for me. I wish it was either we had one that is just fully powers and has the force field and everything, but only one. Either that or just get rid of the force fields and you can have two. I think that's the compromise I would have made for those. The force field is like the Luke Cage effect, especially by season 2, where it's like, hey, we get that he's bulletproof. Why are we still shooting him? Okay,
right,
why are we wasting our bullets? He's bulletproof. It's like, you get it. Like, look, you have Boba Fett shoot the rocket and it doesn't work, okay, but don't give me everyone else shooting like it's going to make a difference, okay? The rocket packs like you're big, okay, we're really in trouble. Then Rancor, okay, and the baby, okay? Either have it all focused on one or have Baby Yoda take out one and have the Rancor take out the other. That's what I want.
Yeah.
But we had to drag it out. Yeah. I do love that. I love the rickshaw thing. I love that. That's the fun idea to me. It's like, oh, look at him. Like it's very Raiders-esque. It's like we're going through the town. Amy Sedaris kind of comes in at the worst possible. No, go away. Go away.
Oh my God. Okay, Amy Sedaris, like, she really has solidified herself in this universe for me now. Like, the first time she popped up, I was kind of like, okay, this might be a little bit too goofy for me.
Yeah,
but
you were very anti-Sedaris in the beginning.
Yeah, but I feel like I've really warmed to her, and I really like when characters do this for me, because I like about her character is that she feels so very lived in. She feels like she's been, like, as her character kind of suggests, it's like she's lived on Tatooine her whole life. She feels like a native.
Yeah, I think she does a really good job of, like, as you're saying, living in, but also, like, she clearly has, like, her flaws and her hang-ups, but she's also willing to, like, set those aside to do things for other people, which not a lot of characters in the Disney Star Wars stuff are.
Yeah, right.
They're kind of just like, no, these are my hang-ups, and I'm going to do my hang-ups until somebody other than me has left the room. Just like, the whole, like, the Mandalorian, this is the way, and, like, the Boba Fett just being like, well, rule with respect, and then nobody respects me. It's like, well, then I shoot you, and now you respect me. It's like, everybody's got those hang-ups, but she's like, no, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do this for you. And, like, I'm uncomfortable with this, but okay, that's fine.
Who she kind of reminds me of? I think she's the more utilized version of Maz Kanata.
A little bit, yeah.
What if we did more stuff like, hey, there's Maz just kind of like in the middle of an adventure, just saying, hey,
right.
This tape will self-destruct in like 5 seconds. You don't doing any of that.
And then, okay, guys, we got to talk about the fucking baby Yoda hug.
Yeah.
It's low-hanging fruit for sure. But like, first of all, I love Din's reaction. He's just like, he practically like jumps out of this seat,
holsters the gun. He goes for the.
He uses his new force sleep to go for a hug.
It's adorable.
Force sleep. Oh man, I mean, it's like that is going to be classic Star Wars. Man.
I loved it so much.
Star Wars,
Oh my God, it was. But I love everything about that scene where he's like he's riding on the back of it, and then he has a heartfelt moment in the midst of the action. Then he has like this adorable, like, you wore the shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, out of context, they gotta use that at the parks of like, you wore the shirt, like in the merchant, like at the gift shop.
My God.
Like, you wore the shirt. Like, we gotta sell those shirts, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What if they sell the shirts at Galaxy's Edge, and then you have Mando walking around, and every time Mando sees he's a guest with one of
The
those.
problem is that's a terrible.
He just comes up like just beaming, like, you wore the shirt.
I love that. Here's the thing: it has to be a different shirt because as much as I love that line, I love that idea. It's like that shirt's terrible to sell people.
Of course.
It's just a regular shirt, but it's got like that pattern on it.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
what I was thinking.
If they do that, then it works. Yeah, I was saying if it's something that's literally like, well, we can't sell mesh shirts to kids. That's terrible.
Also,
Super really says this episode would have gone up a few notches if the Skittles scooter gang died horribly.
Everyone's got it against these poor kids. I just
The
feel so
Skittles
bad for
scooter
them.
gang. I like that nickname.
Well, it's better than the Power Rangers things. The Power Rangers thing really doesn't make much sense to me because I mean we barely spent enough time with them to really call them Power Rangers knockoffs.
Well, I'm just saying aesthetically, Dragon. You don't have to spend much time with them to get their aesthetics.
Yeah, it's American graffiti. They're multicolored.
I think every moment that they are not on their speeder bikes, I enjoy them. It's when
like
they get on
mods.
when they get on their scooter bikes, their speeder bikes, their swoops. In the Star Wars terminology here. Then it just starts to get goofy fast. That's kind of my opinion.
It was one chase.
Well, I still think that chase was the worst scene in the whole show.
Fine.
I mean, the green screen on that was embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we mentioned this. We had like kind of the equivalent. I know it was like a Ralph McQuarrie painting, but you know, at first glance, I always thought it was like a Tatooine equivalent to dogs playing poker, but with Huts, like Huts playing poker. I know it's not. It looks like it's some Ralph McQuarrie art of Jabba, I think, but just still, can you imagine if it was like Huts playing poker?
Oh man,
it's wild.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be Huts playing Sabak.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hollow chess.
Yes.
Hollow chess, maybe.
Well, no, the Huts aren't smart to play. No, I'm kidding. Yes, they are smart to play hollow chess. I'm thinking more Zero the Hut. Yeah, because I think every time I think of
Dejarik. Dejarik is what it's called.
Oh, well, no, sure, yeah. Well, I was thinking about Zero the Hut, the Hut specifically. Every time I think of a dumb Hut, I keep thinking of Zero, like the Corey Burton Hut. But yeah, you're right though. Let's see what. So speaking of some good Mando stuff, Mando and Boba Fett had a really classy moment. The whole Butch and Sundance kind of like moment.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Admittedly, the Major Domo kind of rains on that, but still, it pays off nicely. That when he distracts all the guys outside. But yeah, I just love the fact that Mando, after everything he's been through this season, which makes I think all of us so excited for the next season of Mando. This guy, he still honors the way. He still honors the Mandalorian way, even though he's been excommunicated. Because that's before Grogu comes back, that's all he has left. At that point, he thinks I'm never going to see Grogu again. Most likely, it's like this is all I have left. Why not go out there in a blaze of glory? I mean, this guy helped me, to spend more time with that kid, help me get him back, help me make sure he was safe. It's at least I owe him, and I have nothing else to live for right now. Mm-hmm. It's kind of sad. It's like I don't know. It really touched me. It's like these two characters having a respect for each other in the grand kind of cosmos of it all here again, assuming we don't have like a sort of like payoff with him like riding that mythosaur in the end of by Mando season 3, wherever we're going with that. It does if just seeing these two characters that obviously we don't have a Mandalorian show without Boba Fett in the first place. Just seeing these two characters kind of have that moment together. So it meant a lot. I thought it was really cool.
You know what is crazy though? Is that we've kind of come full circle because when the Mandalorian was first announced, there was all this confusion about wait a minute, is it a Boba Fett show? Why isn't it Boba Fett? I want to see Boba Fett.
And Mando was now overshadowed Boba Fett in literally his own show. It's
and now we have it why are we having a Boba Fett show? Where's the Mandalorian?
And I mean, even with the very end of the show, remember this show ends with Mando and Baby Yoda riding off. Now, to be fair, this so far, I'm going to assume this is the new pattern for all the Star Wars live action
I feel like the reason why we had that as the ending is because there's no way they weren't going to pay off Baby Yoda riding in that freaking capsule thing.
Oh yeah, we all predicted that just from a very obvious design standpoint. What I mean, again, unfortunately that's the reason we know. It's a big mystery what Grogu's going to choose at the end of the episode. Is he going to choose the lightsaber? Is he going to?
Can you imagine if he just doesn't show up and then it's and then he does get killed by Kylo Ren? Could you imagine if they went that route?
Okay, I'm going to imagine this. This would never happen, obviously, but imagine this. Imagine like at some point we fit in like a retroactive, like kind of like a flashback, and they get they get Adam Driver back, and they basically they do a flashback to that scene. Again, we have young Luke Skywalker. Anything can happen. We have young Adam Driver, and
Younger Adam Driver.
We have the scene, and we have Baby Yoda like kick like basically not defeat him, but basically like stop and then make an exit, make it like okay, I'm out of here. I'm gonna survive. Darn it. It's like pulling out his lightsaber, like deflecting, like no, and then he's disappears.
All right.
Anyway, but but in all seriousness, I mean, I think this might be a new pattern going forward, where we ended Mando with the literally the opening to the transition to Book of Boba Fett with the ending of that season. I think that might be where we're going forward, and it's probably going to do something similar with Ahsoka and everything going forward.
Although, wouldn't it have been a transition to Obi-Wan though?
Well, that one's a little more difficult. You have to go back. You have to go back in time on that one. I'm saying going forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think the stuff that's going linear, you can do that with. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, and then also just the Rancor, like I said, the King Kong thing, really cool.
It was like a Harryhausen. Tiki Ronnie, who animated the King Kong stop motion?
Harry. Oh. I don't know off the top of my head. I think it was Harryhausen.
No, that wasn't. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Harryhausen, but
was it Willis O'Brien?
I think it's Willis O'Brien. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a love letter, but here's the thing, though. It does, just given a lot of the stop motion we've had in Star Wars before, and with the Rancor specifically, it does feel like a loving homage to Phil Tippett, who did the animation, and of course doing it an homage to Harryhausen. And ultimately, here we do the Willis O'Brien homage with literally do a King Kong with. Now, I got to admit, as much as I love that King Kong thing that we do with him, that was like okay. The moment he's scared that Boba Fett's like taken off the Rancor for his big showdown, it feels like we're just doing cool stuff with the Rancor because we just want to pad the rest of the episode. It was cool, but I just feel like I think it's all we really need is okay. Cad Bane scares off the Rancor. That shows you how tough he is. That's all we need.
Ooh, that would have been a way better idea. Yeah.
Well, no, we did. That's what we did, Tiki. Remember, he has the fire and he scares him off.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right.
I'm saying, so we do that, but mainly we have that so we can have Baby Yoda's big moment where he saves Mando and he makes the beast sleep with the Force, saying, okay, he's kind of following the Ahsoka path, where he's still very much a Jedi, but not per se, like following like the no attachments rule.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's the other cute image of the episode, by the way. Oh, look at the little Baby Yoda. He's sleeping with the baby calf Rancor. Look at that. So precious. That thing's eating people. It's so cute. Yeah, wow. But I mean, it is a wonderful payoff scene. Of course, Boba Fett, who was introduced riding a giant kind of dinosaur, like
it is nice. It is a nice full circle kind of moment for sure.
Yeah. So we should talk about the Cad Bane showdown, like maybe a little bit more. Like what
yeah, I mean, I think Cad Bane's presence is undeniably cool. I mean, it's like
they did a very good job
on every word, and I very much do hope that he has a presence in Obi-Wan as well, because I would love to see more of him.
Yeah, they did a very good job translating his look from animation to live action. I think they kept a lot of like the important details without like making it too goofy or like, too what's the word I'm looking for? Too plain.
Yeah, like it didn't look CG. It looked obviously it's very practical, and the effect again makes it all the more kind of viable. I mean, the only thing because of the practicality that I don't think they could do, at least I don't think practically, because just I know from hearing Doug Jones play Abe Sapien in the Hellboy movies, this kind of stuff was always hard. So I'm going to guess it was something similar. And if you don't have Doug Jones, it probably would be impossible. Like doing given a practical Cad Bane with those sharp teeth and everything, given the toothpick. Like toothpick from his signature toothpick, doing kind of the Clint Eastwood with the long cigarette sort of thing, where you can't really, But here's what I really loved about the Cad Bane show. I love the whole, because of the implied history, and just even again, just taking for what at face value, he gives Boba Fett every chance to give up. You get a sense he doesn't want to kill Boba Fett. Like there is somewhat of a Yondu thing with him, and I did like that. There was somewhat of like, I don't want to kill you. You just go home to your Bacta tank, Boba. Mm-hmm. You gave it a shot. He's asking, but he frames the question of the season that everyone had that we don't quite have a good answer for, unfortunately. But he framed it really well, where he's asking the premise of the show: What's your angle? Why are you doing this, Boba? And I think my read on this, I don't know if you guys have anything better, because unfortunately the show doesn't really give us anything concrete. I'm just reading in from this encounter. My read on why Boba Fett's doing all this ultimately is, he says he won't abandon his people. I think as a character, Boba Fett, he just seeks family after losing his father, which is always like the traumatic loss that we do know about, from, this episode 2 and so on and so forth, and everything we do with him kind of retroactively after that. Then he goes to kind of learn from Cad Bane to then what we do know absolutely, the Tuskens, and then he has like his Gatra. I believe we call it the Gatra. That's what we call kind of the new band of like the Mods and the Fennec Shans and the Black Chrysotans. So it's just basically Boba Fett looking for kind of a sense of family and home to replace the Tusken family that he lost. I think ultimately that's why Tatooine. Unfortunately, we don't really verbalize this, but it's that's kind of the vibe I got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're a killer. It was really, yeah.
I get the sense that like Cad Bane generally wants to take the easiest route to get his payment and then move on.
That's a good read.
And like he's not so like emotionally concerned about like, Boba Fett's well-being or anything like, or like, what his motivation is, but he wants to understand Boba's motivation so that he can dissect it and say, great, here's a solution where neither of us have to shoot each other. And we both get to go home alive and I get paid. I think he's definitely like very much the sort of like, shrewd negotiator that we encounter a lot of in this series.
He does do that a lot.
Underworld stuff
through his other appearances. He's always negotiating like that. So I buy that. That makes sense.
Yep. So my assumption is that like, he's trying to find, the little loophole that will make the job be over without having to get in a fight. Not that he won't fight if he has to, but he would love to get paid and not have to fire a single shot.
Yeah, Tiki, I'm sure you love the gaffy stick death.
Oh yeah, of course. It was a good callback.
Would have been a little bit more satisfying had he killed the Tuskens, but still, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tiki, is there anything in the comments we should really shout out?
Let's see. I think I've done a good job pointing everything out. Super Billy says, and I honestly agree with him. I kind of got a Man of Steel final fight kind of vibe here. I love how in our heroes' attempts to prevent the Pike droids from destroying the town, they destroy the town.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I wish we put a finer point on. Yeah, maybe I'm not good at this.
Right.
Because the town kind of got destroyed. I mean, it's on the men that are doing the Godfather 2 thing, but I wish we kind of said something one way or another, just a little bit more at the end. I mean, I'll admit though, Ming-Na Wen, she does have a really, I think it feels so much like an improvisation. I really like it. I just love how she's like, hey, they throw like the Mel Roon thing from Rebels to Chrysotan. They was giving his tribute, and he's like chowing, hey, where's my melon? Says Chrysanthemum, you want to share? It's like a Super Friends thing. You put your hands on your heads. He's not gonna share. That guy. Yeah.
Right.
Also, I like that we didn't kill Cobb Vanth. He looked like a shoulder shot anyway, so he's coming back and he's going to be modded. I hope not excessively, but he'll be
excessive flashbacks, Dragon. Excessive flashbacks in that tank. I'm telling you.
Little do we know that the back to tank it has some for many years of use or whatever it is. There's like some element in there that if you stay in it too many times, you get weird flashbacks. It's just how it works.
Yep. And
then that becomes a plot point later where I need to remember something.
It's the spiritual and physical healing kind of aspect there. You got to heal the soul and the mind before you heal.
That's my wild long shot bullshit prediction.
Sure.
I'm going to throw that one out there.
You know what I do? My read on just the whole why the heck is he healing Cobb Vanth is he's thanking the people of Freetown who saved his bacon. It's their leader was shot and this guy was going to back us up and go on terms. I mean, he's a friend of Mando's. Why not fix him up?
Yeah. All right. So, big thanks to Super Billy, Atomic Beast, and Aid March in the comments. Gulliver, is there anything you would like to plug for us this evening?
I actually don't have anything right now to plug.
Okay, fair enough.
I will
Gulliver, would you like to tell us, because you're a big Doctor Strange fan, really quick, give us your quick elevator pitch of what you thought of the Multiverse of Madness trailer?
I think it's really promising. It looks spooky. It looks intense. I'm really curious to see how it plays out. They seem to be teasing maybe Illuminati, so that's gonna be cool.
Huh.
Okay. And I guess that'll do it for us this week, folks, as we holster our remote till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano. Just Plus. And us.
You gave it a shot, Boba.
Boba Fett.
Fat. Dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun.
Godfather Part 2.
One more time.